evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us for another edition of The Youth Perspective. Yours truly, Keshagen Jamal, in your company. And of course, we've been doing The Youth Perspective now for just about 7 years. This is our seventh season. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, I feel that this is our most exciting season thus far. We've been tapping into a bit of a younger audience. And so if you know a young person that's doing some incredible things in the country, in the nation, and they don't even have to be in the locale of 700 islands and keys. They could be abroad, but if they're doing impactful things, we want to know about it, and we want to be able to feature them on The Youth Perspective. It's all about giving a platform and being able to show the positivity that's happening, that's going on in our nation, in our country, each and every Saturday on the station that you're listening into, all right? So thank you so much for joining us, and we have another impactful and a wonderful show. I'm telling you, it's going to be great. When I saw this, somebody actually posted this newspaper clipping of this book. I saw the title and I was like, this fits in so well with The Youth Perspective, so much in what we like to talk about. And so listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to The Youth Perspective for the first time. But listen, she'll be back, the one and only Dominique Forbes, all right? Now, she is a Bahamian native. She is a speaker, a gospel music singer, songwriter, an entrepreneur, and as of late, she is an author. And might I mention, she is a mother of 5, all right? And so we're going to be talking about a whole lot, but I want to welcome the one and only Miss Dominique Forbes to The Youth Perspective. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right. It's such a pleasure to have you on this edition of The Youth Perspective. And, we kind of caught up when we came on camera because, we knew each other like kind of growing up. But, sometimes, you just kind of lose a place of persons and they pop back up later in life. And so for persons who may just be introduced to you, maybe they knew you by your other name that we're going to go into a little bit later in the show. Tell us a little bit about Dominique.
Well, Dominique is a woman who grew up in Baintown, dumping ground corner, eating dirties from the chicken shack.
Wow.
And aspiring always to be a singer. I can remember growing up, waking up 3 o'clock in the morning, watching a particular artist and saying, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to be. And I always loved writing. I was always creative. I loved writing. I can remember being in English language and English literature classes. I can remember working on my diction. My background, I had to write a lot of apology letters.
Oh, wow.
Growing up, my father was not in the home. My biography says that I grew up in a single parent home. Mm-hmm. Then my parents got married. I grew up in a marital home. And then my parents got divorced and I grew up in a divorced home.
Wow.
So I have that rich background of what a child needs, what a child misses, and what a child deserves to have. And so that's where the book Where's Daddy came into play.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we're going to get into and we're going to talk about that, as we continue to move along in this interview. And, just being a mother of 5 now and growing up in that type of background, how has that shaped you to be able to raise your young kids?
That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking me that. It helped me to understand the importance of being soft-spoken. There is a tendency to feel as though to be guarded. You have to be a bully is the misconception. You have to put on this facade of being brave and strong when a woman is like a flower, and there's nothing wrong with embracing that. You're beautiful, you're tender, you're soft, and there's nothing wrong with showing that side of you and understanding that, doing my best to study that area, to improve in that area. And my kids teach me, I learn from them. I feel as though God gave me 5 kids. Mm-hmm. Who better to teach me how to be a better parent to these 5 kids other than him than these 5 kids?
Yes.
So I ask my kids questions. How would it be best for me to deal with you in this area? Mm-hmm. I often fail. I'm working and improving, and it is necessary for them to know where they came from, to see them go on the park when they go on Baintown. But my grandparents' home is right next to the park, to Jumping Ground Corner. So they instantly want to go in the park. They want to run outside. They love that fresh air. I mean, it's sweet. The life is sweet there. And they know, they see the results of crime. I had a family member who recently passed away from a gunshot. Um, he was shot. He was shot right through the corner, right next to his home. And so they know that side a bit. They see the effects of it. However, the seeds that we are watering and we are planting is fear is not of God. God has not given you a spirit of fear, for he's given unto us a spirit of power, a spirit of love, and a sound mind. And so just embracing their femininity. I mean, right now, my kids are being homeschooled, as is so many kids in the country and around the world. Yeah. And my girls in particular, right now they're wearing dresses, fancy dresses and shoes at school. You know, so I learned from them.
So impactful, so incredible. And and we love to have these conversations, so that persons listening in, young persons listening can be able to hear life from different persons' perspective and what they would have went through. So tell me, just thinking back through your life, like when did you get into writing? When did you get into singing? Like when did you know like this is something that you would want to be a part? Obviously you talked about waking up early in the morning and singing that person, but when did you take that next step to say, you know what, I'm going to take this serious. I'm going to make this happen?
I'm glad that you asked me that question. It was through tragedy. I always adored relationships. I studied them growing up. I watched the relationships around me. And when the relationship that I was in broke and I was broken as a result of it, that's when I started writing. And that fueled the healing process. So I would write about what I went through. And that gave me the courage to go and sing about it. And I was working, and I made up in my mind that I committed 2 years to that job. And I told myself that if this works, which I'm going to make it work, because I believe that you make a decision and you make it right. And I told myself that this is going to work. And that opportunity dissipated. And as I was working, going through different spots throughout the country to promote and grow singing and rapping, really rapping. And when the Guinness Talent Search came around, I went forward, I applied for it or auditioned, and I won. And I told myself before that opportunity that if I win this, I'm going to start my music career. And I did. And it was that simple. It started with a decision and I followed through.
And that's important for persons to know because, last year we went through, a very difficult time and still, kind of going through the ups and the downs of a global pandemic. A lot of persons had a lot of time home. They had a lot of time, just trying to figure out what they were going to do. But then to still come into this brand new year and then there be no action, there be no steps to move on those things that you said that in 2020, when we get free or, when things loosen up, I'm going to do those things. But persons still have not made some of those steps that they said they would have.
That's a powerful statement because I believe that you have to plan and live as though tomorrow is exactly how you intend for it to be.
Right.
You don't plan based on the pandemic. You plan based on where you are going. So you have to look at life futuristically as though this pandemic is gone. I mean, for example, the book. Can I mention something about it?
Sure, go ahead.
I did not have a dime to start out with. I didn't have a dime. And I knew that I was going to release this book. That's what I said. I'm going to release the book. There's no question about it. And coming down to the end of it, right before I was about to release it, an opportunity came. Someone messaged me, hey, I have an opportunity. I have a job. Can you come and fulfill the role? I'm looking for someone who's dependable and reliable, who's about business. And that's what I know you are about. And guess what? The job was to clean. It was nothing fancy. I went in and I cleaned in order to earn what I knew was destined to be birthed, and it was that simple. So I was able to go and just do what I had to do, and I just believe that God provides. He provides. Um, he understood and he knew that the pandemic would be here.
Yeah.
Right. However, you have a Keshagen who goes above and beyond, even with your program. You take the extra mile. You don't know who's listening. You don't know who's going to be impacted, but you do it anyway. You don't know if anyone is going to watch. You air anyway. And so you have to live as though it's done. It's a done deal. This is going to be successful. This is going to move forward. And even if this only impacts or touches one life, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So the excuses, they have to go out of the window. I was up at one particular night trying to finish this book. My infant, my youngest daughter, is not even 1 year old yet. So she's nursing in one hand, and the right hand, I have the laptop and I'm typing. When she moves and she squirms and she has to burp, she burps here. I take the cell phone here and I use this. No excuses. No one can bring me an excuse, because you can live above those excuses. You want to go to the next level, live above that level. It starts with a decision.
It starts with a decision. I love that. And so when we talk about decisions and where decisions go, they go to Where is Daddy? The Stay Put series. Let's talk about it.
Where's Daddy was birthed from a conversation that I had with my cousin, Darenika Sayers, in Baintown. She said, Dominique, you notice the excitement that your kids have when their father comes home after work? And something just clicked and I started to pay attention, and that's how the story was birthed. My youngest son, Samuel, is featured in the story along with his dad, and it's a real story. Daddy came home, and it is a culture here. I mean, when I first got married, we used to wait outside. We were that excited for when he would come home. And we're going to be married for 6 years as of February this year. And it's still like that. I mean, we have a little bit more composure. We don't wait outside anymore, but we still we still look forward to seeing him. And that's every single day. Some days our youngest son wakes up first thing in the morning. It's like he senses when Daddy is about to walk out of the door to go to work, and he has that yearning, and he would run straight to the gate to say goodbye. That's in the morning, and that same enthusiasm is there in the afternoon. And it is important for fathers to be in the home. I used to bash. I used to be bitter. I used to be broken. I would speak from a place of I didn't really trust anyone. And so when I met my spouse, that was a long journey of recovery. You know what that could be like for a woman. And he's patient. He's loving. I mean, he has the fruits of the spirit, the fruit of the spirit, that is. And that wooed me to Christ. I saw Christ in him. I didn't decide to go with a mate just because I was looking for one. I wasn't looking. I was in the hunt of pursuing music. I was not looking for a mate. And that's what I would always tell women. For whatever reason, God allowed this conversation to go here. Don't look. Pursue your purpose, pursue your goals, your God-given dreams. Allow God to use you to pursue your passions, and you will naturally attract what you deserve.
Yeah.
Because in the process of pursuing your purpose, you become something greater. And people see that and they gravitate toward that. You don't want the mate to come and you're not ready, right? And when Sydney and I got together, we grew together. And he met me as a single parent with a son. And he knew me prior to that. When we dated and we merged, I already had a child. And when we married, we had 2 kids, my older son, Marlon, second daughter, Grace. And from there, once we got married, like you can see, it's 5 years in and we have 5 kids. Hannah, Samuel, and Sarah, my infant. She's not even 1 yet. So we believe in being fruitful and multiplying, and God just blesses us. He's going to bless us in every single area. And fathers are important.
Yeah.
Marriage is important. Raise them within the confinements of marriage as far as possible. There was a time when I believe you didn't need men. So women cannot give me an excuse as to why a father is not necessary. I understand that's just being guarded. You don't want to let your guard down. You don't want to trust anyone. You don't want to say you need a man. You don't want to say you need anyone. That's because the world made you cold. You allowed circumstances to make you cold. But when you go out there and you drive your vehicle, how many accidents do you see going by? On any given day, did you decide to say, I'm not going to drive a vehicle because there are too many accidents on the road?
Right.
When you go to your job and your boss upsets you, do you decide that you're just not going to go to the job again? No, you need to earn that income. And so you go and you do what is necessary. So in the same vein, you do what is necessary to grow, to get over the hurt, and surrender those things to God. And it's going to take time.
Yeah.
It's going to take time. But fathers
very, go ahead.
No, I just said fathers are needed.
Fathers are needed. And of course, when I saw the book cover, I said, you know what, this is going to be a great conversation, because this is a conversation that needs to be had. The need to, one, have, fathers in the home, and that relationship with fathers and their children, to make sure that we are growing strong men, strong women, who grew up with their fathers in the home, who grew up having that love relationship. And so when they see something that's not like the love that their father gave them, then obviously they would know the difference. All right. And so very, very important book, I think, for a lot of persons listening in. They need to have it in their collection. Now, how can they do so if they want to be able to get the book? They want to be able to get it for somebody in their family. How can they do so?
I'm glad that you asked that question. It's available on Amazon, paperback, ebook, and shortly audiobook. And it's a children's book. It's a children's activity book. It includes little goodies as well. It's not just a book. There are questions for the kids. And Where is Daddy is a series. It's from the Stay Put series, which means stay put. When you get married, stay put.
I love it.
God created marriage.
Yes.
He wants best for you, right? You surrender that to him. He gave it to you. You join that union. He is on your side. So stay put. It's available on Amazon. Where is Daddy? Stay Put series by Dominique Forbes.
Right. And of course, when persons hear the title, Where is Daddy? It's not a negative thing, because you explained it earlier that, it's funny. It's funny that you said that story, because that happened to me. The other weekend, I was outside just washing the car, and my son said, "Where's Daddy?" And my wife was like, he's outside the car. And so, he was by the window and he's watching me clean the car. And I said, "Don't worry, in a short time, you could be out there washing the car with me." And so, you just see the natural progression that boys or girls, whatever you may have, your boy, and so that you see that progression where they love to see what their parents are doing. They love to model after them. Boys love to model after their fathers and do what their fathers do. But when we don't have those fathers in the home, when we don't have them in place, when we don't have them staying put, then they model what's going on in society. They model what they see on the TV screens, and they model what they see with the guys in the neighborhood, and they may not be setting the best influence for them. And so we can be able to interject and be able to put some positivity in their lives at a very young age, just by being there and being present and being active in their lives, not leaving it all on the mother, not leaving it on the wife or the girlfriend or whatever situation you might find yourself in, but being an active person and saying, you know what, I'm going to be here for my son, I'm going to be here for my daughter, to make sure that the legacy is protected.
There you go. And you said something that's so important, because when you said the word active, all I heard was invested. As a parent, you have to be invested. I can be here all day with my 5 kids, but that doesn't mean I'm invested. If they're in their tablets and I'm in my phone, I'm not invested. But when I take that time, and my kids naturally, like you said, they want to do what I do. So this is a legacy for them, who are natural storytellers, to go and write their stories, write their books. So I need to be in order so that when they write in their books, it is said that Dominique Forbes was an invested parent.
Yeah. And then you could say one day, connect with Keshagen, so y'all could do the interview.
That's good. That's good.
On TV and stuff like that. That's good stuff.
You tied that in excellently. Hats off to you.
This is what I do. So now for persons, because we love to do this part of the show before we get ready to wrap up the interview, for persons who they either are interested in music, they're either interested in songwriting, you're an entrepreneur as well, and also now an author. For persons who are struggling, they're procrastinating on making that first step, or maybe it may be a self-esteem thing. Maybe they're afraid to put it out and they're not sure, what it's going to sound like. Whatever it is. Do you have any encouragement for those persons listening in right now?
Absolutely. Do it now. Do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to write, start writing right now.
Mm-hmm.
You want to sing, start singing right now. You're being selfish by not doing it. You're being selfish by not going forward. Somebody needs it, right? You stood right here. You're sitting down and you said, it happened the other day, the title of the book. It doesn't have a negative connotation. I wasn't considering that when I gave the title of the book.
Mm-hmm.
God knew that when my child said, "Where is daddy?" because it was a conversation, like I said, it's a real story, that you and I would be sitting here one day and you would be able to connect with your son and you would know, and you would leave this conversation knowing, hey, I have to be invested. If you weren't before, I have to be invested now, right? And if you are struggling, understand that you have to work on yourself and you have to live. You don't think I had struggles with how's the book going to sound, who's going to read it, who's my audience going to be, and you don't have to know all of the answers either.
Right.
You don't need to have one answer. You don't need to have one dime. You don't need to have anybody by your side other than you and God. If you have a supportive partner like I do, great. If you have a supportive family like I do, great. And another word of advice that I would give is don't succeed alone.
That's good stuff.
You have family, right? You have a family unit, you have a family structure. Don't sacrifice them for your success. If you understand my journey, the last song that I released would have been Do It Like You. I separated myself from those things before I got married. And I just started studying marriage before I got married. After I got married, I've been married for 5 years now, and I'm just now branching out again because God said it's time. And my family structure, my foundation is solid. Now, my kids still have to work on the fact that they have to share me, right? But I built that. I worked on that. We planned that, and God did it. So do it now. Don't sacrifice your family. Go at it hard and don't be selfish. Someone needs your book. Someone needs your song. Someone needs your words of encouragement. I started out writing blogs. You use Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is, for good. Just do it. Do it now.
Excuse me 1 second.
Do it now.
And so as we get ready to wrap up, any closing comments that you want to leave for the listening audience?
Read the book. Just because it's a children's book doesn't mean that you cannot purchase it for yourself. I promise you, you will enjoy it. You will get something from it. I've had persons say to me, the biography alone moved me. I had a man say that. He said, I was moved by your biography alone. This book, I took my time with every single line, every single detail from front to back. There's something in it for you. Where is daddy? Stay put.
I love it. I love it. Now, I don't know if I asked you, but can you give us your social handles as well? And so persons can follow you online.
Absolutely. I'm on Instagram, Dominique Forbes Global. Facebook, Dominique Forbes, or Dominique Lisa Forbes, or Dominique Forbes Global. But once you type in Dominique Forbes, you shouldn't have a problem. I'm on Fiverr. You can support me there. My email address is D as in dog, L as in lion, Forbes, Forbes, 2015, 2015 @gmail.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you heard it here first. A Bahamian native, Dominique Forbes, joined us this evening on The Youth Perspective. She is a speaker, a gospel music singer, songwriter, entrepreneur, and author. And also, she's a mother of 5. And of course, we spoke about her book, Where is Daddy? The Stay Put series, a story about the thrill that a young boy has when his father arrives at his humble abode. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, this was a wonderful show, and really had a great opportunity just really talking to the men this evening, and really being able to just speak to you. If you're listening in right now, maybe you haven't visited your children in a little while, maybe you haven't touched base, maybe you haven't spent no time with them. The pandemic has been going on, you've been social distancing. It's a good day today to go ahead and give them a call, go by and check them out. We definitely want to thank the one and only Dominique Forbes for joining us on this edition of the Youth Perspective. And we look forward to speaking with her once again very soon as she continues this series of Where is Daddy? We thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the Youth Perspective.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time right here on the Youth Perspective. Have a great evening.